All right, today we're going to crack open some of the world's oldest wisdom literature to really unpack a single powerful word, Bhava. Now, this is a term that gets right to the heart of why we sometimes feel like we're just living life on a loop. And, it might just hold the key to stepping off that merry-go-round for good. So, let's dive in.
Have you ever had that feeling? That sense of déjà vu, but not just for a single moment, but for whole patterns in your life? It's almost like we get stuck in this loop we can't break, running the same plays, getting the same results over and over again. It's a really human feeling, this sense of being stuck. And it turns out it's a puzzle that people were trying to solve thousands of years ago.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with that big riddle of existence. Then we'll get into our key term, Bhava. After that, we'll look at what's actually powering this cycle, how these ancient texts say we can stop it, and finally, we'll explore what's on the other side, a state of real, profound liberation.
Okay, so let's start right there, with that universal feeling of being stuck. This is more than just a bad habit we can't kick. It's that deep-down sense that we are caught in a cycle of repetition that feels totally inescapable, like some kind of program that just keeps on running.
And what's fascinating is that these ancient texts, they don't just describe the problem. They offer a really precise diagnosis. They pinpoint a specific mechanism, a force that's actively pushing this cycle forward. They say it's not fate, it's not random, it's a process. And that process has a name, Bhava.
So let's get right to the heart of it. Now, this is absolutely key to understanding the whole thing. Bhava isn't about being. It's not a static thing, like a rock. It's a verb. It's the dynamic, relentless, forward-moving process of becoming.
At its core, Bhava is the ongoing momentum of our existence. Think of it like a river. It's always flowing, always in motion, creating the conditions for the very next moment, the next experience, and yeah, even the next life. It's this continuity, fueled by our desires and our attachments, that leads to what the texts call Punabhavam, which literally means again becoming.
And this just illustrates the idea perfectly. The Pali Canon uses Bhava in all these different compound words, and each one kind of shows you a different angle on the concept. You've got Bhavatanha, the craving for becoming, that's the fuel. Then there's Bhavayoga and Bhavasamyojanam, the yoke and the fetter of becoming. These words really highlight how this process itself is what binds us. So it's not just existence, it's a force that we are actively tangled up with.
So if Bhava is the process, what's the engine? I mean, what's providing the raw power that keeps this whole cycle of becoming in perpetual motion?
Well, according to these scriptures, Bhava is a critical link in a causal chain. It doesn't just pop up out of nowhere, it's caused by something, and then, in turn, it causes something else. You can almost picture it as the central gear in a much bigger, more intricate machine.
This here lays out the sequence perfectly. See, it all starts with tanha, a word that we translate as craving, but maybe a better word is thirst, a deep, fundamental thirst. This thirst leads to upadana, which means clinging or grasping. We grasp onto feelings, onto ideas, onto our very sense of self. And that act of grasping is what directly fuels bhava, the whole process of becoming. And then bhava, in turn, inevitably leads to jati, or birth, which just sets the stage for the whole cycle of suffering, or dukkha, to start all over again.
The texts even break down that initial thirst into 3 distinct types. First, you've got the obvious one, sensual craving, the desire for pleasant sights, sounds, feelings, you name it. Then there's the craving for becoming, that deep, instinctual drive to just continue, to exist, to be somebody. And then, maybe the most subtle of all, there's the craving for non-becoming, that desperate wish to be annihilated, to just cease to exist, to escape it all. But what the texts suggest is that even this desire for oblivion is just another form of thirst that keeps the engine running.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem, and we've taken a look under the hood at the engine. And I know it can all sound a little bit bleak, but the entire point of this deep analysis in the scriptures is to offer a real, workable solution. The idea is, if you can truly understand how the cycle works, then you can learn how to break it.
This slide just lays out the before and after with incredible clarity. On the left, you see the state of being bound. You're tied up by the fetters of becoming, you're pulled along by its conduit, and the result is punapavayam, that again and again becoming. But now look over to the right. This is the state of liberation. Those fetters are destroyed, the conduit is totally cut off, and the result is anabhavam kata, a state of no further becoming. The cycle is well and truly broken.
And let's be absolutely clear here. This isn't about self-destruction or annihilation.
The goal isn't to violently stop existing. No, the goal is to stop the driven, thirsty process of cyclical becoming. And you do that by targeting its root cause, by mindfully seeing and understanding that thirst, that tanha, its power to fuel the whole cycle, just withers away.
And that brings us to our final section. What does it actually mean to be free from the cycle of bhava? What is this state of liberation that the texts are all pointing towards?
This is a really powerful quote from the scriptures. It's describing someone who has achieved enlightenment. Their conduit to becoming is severed. They continue to live out their life, sure, but the engine that would have propelled them into a new cycle of birth and suffering has been permanently shut down. So once this life ends, there's just no more fuel for another one. The process of bhava has completely ceased for them.
And this ultimate state is called vimutti. It means release, liberation, complete freedom. It's the direct result of understanding this whole process we've been talking about, of seeing the craving, seeing the clinging, seeing the becoming, and through that clear seeing wisdom finally being able to let go. It's the end of being trapped. It is the end of the repeating loop.
So, as we close this out, I want to leave you with this question to think about. The concept of bhava might be ancient, but the pattern it describes is absolutely timeless. Take an honest look at your own life. What are the repeating loops you find yourself stuck in? And more importantly, can you start to identify the thirst, the tanyaha, that keeps them turning? Because really, understanding the engine is always the first step to being able to finally switch it off. Thanks for listening.